The key thing we want to remember whenever we see a negative exponent is that negative exponents do not mean negative numbers. Negative exponents mean reciprocals. When we think of a reciprocal, what we want to do is flip the top and bottom. And I can look at it fundamentally as saying, okay, well, I have a negative exponent at the bottom. Let me throw it to the top, make it positive when I change its position. And if I want to even think about changing the 1 to the bottom, I can look at it that way fundamentally. But remember that when I have that 1 at the bottom, this is that same example when we first talked about the quotient of powers. That 1 at the bottom, anything divided by 1 is itself. When we think of reciprocals, just think of changing its position, make it positive. Well, what if I had a number, a numerical value for a numerator? When I say take a reciprocal, I'm not flipping the entire thing. Technically, that 1 could have also been viewed as a 1 as a coefficient. When it is not a negative exponent, that 2 itself has an exponent, is as an exponent of 1. Again, the only thing I'm taking a reciprocal of is that negative 5. That exponent of negative 5 is the only one that I'm going to change its position. That 2 stays exactly where it is because it is a positive exponent. That negative 5 does not apply to that 2. I bring the negative 5 up, make it positive when I change its position. 2x to the 5th. Again, you only change the position. You only take a reciprocal of what's negative. Where this gets more interesting is what about when I have a negative exponent applying to an entire fraction? Well, let's look at what's going on here is if I have a quotient to a power, remember that I can apply that exponent to both the numerator and the denominator, apply it to both the top and the bottom. A to the negative 1 divided by b to the negative 1. We showed that earlier when it was a positive exponent, but it doesn't change anything when you have a negative exponent. It still applies to both. Well, now when we have both of them being negative, a negative exponent in the numerator, change its position. Take a reciprocal, throw it to the bottom. A negative exponent in the bottom, change its position. Throw it to the numerator, make it positive. Well, look what we have going on here is, when I change its position, b to the positive 1 in the numerator, a to the positive 1 in the denominator, well, look at what's going on is, they're both at the first power, b divided by a. Look at what happens is it actually just changes the reciprocal straight up. That's what negative exponents mean, are reciprocals. Negative exponents do not mean negative numbers. Negative exponents mean reciprocals.